All right. Um, Today I'm doing dips instead of pull-ups, and I'm actually really excited to get started today because I feel like we're close to getting somewhere with this. Now, I don't know if I should rewrite the whole thing. I'm sort of curious about what it would actually take to rewrite it and to write my own REST API, my own like Dynamo or Mongo, something like that database. Um, because I feel like it's getting to a point where it's just a little bit too difficult. Everything that I need to do, it just takes a really long time, and most of the time it's just debugging. So most of the time I just spend like trying to figure out, okay, well, how does Amplify or Lambda or the API gateway, like how do they actually want me to interact with it from the client side? And it's just, I feel like there's too many like unknowns. There's too many unknown variables that I don't understand. And maybe I could understand it if I spent some time to try to learn it. But I just feel like the effort that it would probably take to learn all this stuff, to actually understand it fully, I feel like that is going to be way more than just writing it myself. Which is strange. And I don't trust my own knowledge when it comes to this stuff enough to actually trust that I know what I'm talking about, if that makes sense. Because in the back of my head, I know that, well, AWS, all of these services that I'm using right now, they're not for nothing. They're not developed for nothing. They're developed to probably speed up workflows, make it more safe, make it whatever for people that use it. And so even though it feels like it would be easier to just write it myself, I have the doubt in the back of my head that says that, well, there's probably a reason why this exists in the first place. And that reason is probably that it's actually easier at the end of the day. And when you don't know stuff like this, then maybe we can actually ask someone who might know. So we're going to do a new chat with Grok. I trust Grok more with some things. Okay. Okay. So I've asked a few questions here to Grok, and it seems like building out my own REST API might not be necessary. Supabase might actually be the way to go, which I actually think one of you guys suggested way back, and I should have listened. But I was like, oh, well, I'm already, yeah, Sam BRD, I think. I'm pretty sure you suggested that I should look into Supabase, but I didn't. And I actually used Supabase for the Exerlog workout tracking app that I made in Lovable. And so I have used that, but I've used it with another AI thing, which is like Lovable, which basically took care of all the setup for me. So I might be biased in that I think that it's going to be easy to do that, but I think the way to do it is actually to transfer over to Supabase, because I don't think it's reasonable. I think it's like, it's not completely unreasonable that I'm spending a lot of time debugging, because like there is a lot of complexity to having these things work. But I also think that some of the stuff should be very easy, like having just loading a table from the database like that. Every time I try to do that, even though I've like done it previously, every time there's just a new error or something new that pops up, or it just doesn't work. And there's no real easy way, I feel like, to guarantee that, like, okay, this is how you load a table from AWS. There probably is, but it's just that I haven't found that way yet. And so every time I need to do it, it just brings up so many issues. And what I also know is that even if we're able to load the matches here, we will still need to deal with the problem of loading the images, which need to be pre-signed URLs or whatever they needed to be, which is a security feature on AWS that's good, but it's just that it might not be completely necessary, and it does add a lot of complexity to the stuff. So it's like, I know that even if we get the matches to show up on the screen here, we're not done with showing the matches. We still need to add the pictures, and then we also need to add a calling functionality from here so that you can actually call someone. That there's so much stuff that still would need to be added, maybe, that it doesn't really, I don't think it makes sense to continue doing it this way. I feel like Supabase is an easier way because it's just more direct SQL queries that you can do, and like seems like you can integrate a REST API as well, or it has one. Let's see. Why Supabase wins. SQL based approach. Postgres, REST, and GraphQL. Yeah, so it seems to me like using switching over to Supabase is going to save us a little bit of time. In the end, it's going to be more effort now, but it's going to save us time in the future. And Yeah. Sometimes you have to like, I don't know if that's from, I think it's from like How I Met Your Mother or something. That's like, that's future Ted's problem, or that's future Marshall's problem or something. But I sometimes think about that and that's like, sometimes you need to deal with something now because otherwise it will be future Cal's problem. And future Cal is going to have other problems. So should we really, if we can change that right now, even though, because we can't do anything about the past, we can't change what's happened. We can't change, or I can't change the fact that I've spent 6 months doing Amplify and trying to get that to work. I can't change that. But what I can change, or what I can help, is I can help future Cal by maybe putting in, like doing a bit of work right now and moving over to Supabase. I think Supabase makes sense because the thing is like also what Grok is saying is what I've noticed as well, that there's a lot of stuff that's hidden in AWS, probably in order to kind of help the user, maybe, I don't know. Or there's systems that are set up that are too complex on the back end that you can't really, sometimes they need to add complexity in order to make it easier to use. But that complexity, when that doesn't work, when there's bugs for the client or the customer, when there are bugs in this complex system, it means that the customer then has to try to understand this complex system that's actually more complex than what the actual thing that they want to do is. So like a REST API is actually pretty simple. It's not very hard to understand, but a REST API combined with like security features and all kinds of like scalability, all kinds of things, that type of REST API is a little bit harder to understand. But in order to present that to a customer in an easy way, we have to create an even more complex system over here that handles all of this stuff and thinks about all of this stuff. But that means that if the customer then runs into a bug, then they will have to go through not just the complexity of what they're actually using, but also the added complexity that Amazon has done in order to make it less complex for the user, if that makes sense. Like, and so I feel like at this point, maybe if I was like an employee somewhere and I'd worked for 10 years using AWS, then this would be super like the best system to use, I think. But as a user that doesn't understand all this stuff and hasn't been in the industry for 10 years working a 9 to 5 job as a software engineer, spending all day with AWS, I just don't understand the stuff. And I'm not saying that I'm even trying to understand it that much. Like I'm using ChatGPT and Grok to help me with it, but I just don't know if it's worth. I feel like it's going to be easier to my workflow, since I'm working with these AI tools. My workflow is going to probably be better if we can decrease added complexity, because I think that Grok and ChatGPT actually understand how to build a REST API from scratch and how to do all the security features. I think they're pretty good at that stuff. I think what's fucking with me, to be honest, is the fact that they can't, or they don't necessarily know the up-to-date information about AWS and all the ins and outs of that. So, and since I don't understand AWS either, it means that I can't explain the bugs to ChatGPT or to Grok in a good way, because I don't know what's happening. So I'm just like pasting in an error that might not be the root cause. And so it causes ChatGPT or Grok to deal with an error that might not be the error that's actually causing the problem. it might actually be a symptom of the disease that I'm trying to fix. So if we instead move towards less complexity, something that I understand a little bit better, then we'll also move towards something that Grok and ChatGPT will understand better, which means that our combined like level will maybe be better, and I will better understand the fixes that ChatGPT and Grok create because I understand the REST API and Python and all that stuff better than I understand AWS. So, long story short, I think I'm going to save myself future headaches by taking on a current headache, which is to swap all of this stuff over to Supabase. I think. Okay, so let's just do that. I'm deciding right now. Let's do it. We have an hour. Let's see what we can get done. All right, this will be a little bit interesting. I just rewrote everything for the login stuff to be using Supabase, but yeah. Okay, I don't really know why we ended up here, but we did. So let's try to set the name, Cal, birthday. Error save auth plugin has not been added to Amplify. Okay. What we want is we want to have a sign up flow or login flow of some kind. And I thought that that might have already gotten created, but it hadn't. So All right, I'm trying to get the sign up thing to work, but it's just I don't know if it will work, but because Grok just redesigns the whole page for me without me asking for it. But really what I want to do is just see, can we get this to work? Can we sign up a new user? I think we should be able to. I've added a table to the database in Supabase, and this is the table. So user ID, name, age, gender, blah, blah, blah. That all seems to work. Now we just need to basically see, can we sign up as a user? That's all that we need to do. And after we can get that done, then the rest should probably be pretty simple, because it's just sign up and do all that stuff like matches, phone calls, even though that's been very difficult with Amplify. I think this is going to be way easier with Supabase. And I have quite high hopes for that. So we'll see. Because as you can see, we can have functions here, we can have triggers, and these functions can be running like exactly the same way that we had it with AWS, but just on Supabase and easier. I think this should work. But now I really have to get going. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. And I hope I'll see you in the next one on Friday.